Carl here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it's horror movie review time. As I've gone back in time for this one, you've seen the title. Chose this one partially because Next of Kin, Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, the reboot of the franchise, was recently released in the UK after being out for a couple of months in America. This whole HBO Max thing and Paramount Plus not being available in the UK is infuriating, but also well done, guys, for fighting piracy by releasing these sort of things that people want to watch in this country and other countries around the world, but not actually being available. So Paranormal Activity Next of Kin came out. Some people liked it, lots of people didn't. I personally really didn't. Go check out the review on the site, and while you're there, go check out the review for all the Paranormal Activity movies. We've covered them all. We have a definitive ranking on the website, as well as an in-depth video where we go through each movie. But I wanted to focus specifically in this review on the original because, you know, go back in time. Let's look at the start of the franchise. Let's look at it when it was at its simplest before it became the bloated beast it is today. Back when found footage was at least interesting. You know, I blame Paranormal Activity for the boom more than anything else. You can say Blair Witch Project in 1999 popularized it, but following that, we didn't get a slew. Paranormal Activity started that ball rolling, so I fucking hate it for that exact reason. But truth be told, I still think this is a good movie. Not the best in the franchise. I think the third one is the best in the franchise. But you go back and watch this, it's still got the ability to chill you. It's still got the ability to creep you out. It still feels impactful. But it is not a classic by any stretch of the imagination. It has a lot of problems. I'm going to talk about some of them now.
This girl is a wild animal.
Considered the high point of the found footage subgenre, Paranormal Activity is the epitome of how horror goes now. Take a good idea, then run it into the ground with yearly sequels that get worse and worse. I mean, look at the ones that came later, the marked ones, Ghost Dimension, Next of Kin. Compared to those three movies, though, the first one is simply Oscar-winning stuff. On its own, though, seeing it out of context of the rest of the movies and just watching it as I did for this, you kind of forget it. It can be very boring. So the movie, if you don't know, if by some miracle you don't know, is played out as a set of recovered tapes, found footage, following a serious incident at a couple's home that the police and the families then apparently handed over to a movie studio. See, this is the stuff that you struggle with straight away. You can't have it both ways. It's annoying. You can't ask the audience to believe the movie is real, then do something extremely unrealistic in the first few seconds. Tie that into the whole argument of found footage in general, why person X continues to film person Y when all manner of crazy shit is going on. When I think of that, I think of Cloverfield as a great example of just put the fucking camera down. Sure, this is just a movie, except the film constantly tries to tell you that it's not. Anyway, we have Micah and Katie, a happy couple who've been experiencing some strange things going on in our home. Micah has now gone out and bought a snazzy new camera in a hope to basically capture any potential paranormal activity. Katie, less enthusiastic about it, but she goes along with the plan. Get used to Micah nattering away at Katie as he films her constantly, even when she asks him not to. You'd say he was a bit of a dick, but truth be told, he's an average actor, so it just comes across more annoying than anything else. Katie is an improvement, but not by much. And I personally found their cute couple stuff to be awkward and unconvincing. I don't think they have great chemistry. But truth be told, none of that really matters, as we're all here for the same thing. We're here for ghostly goings on, paranormal activity. Sort of, though, because Paranormal Activity, famously, of course, is a slow burn movie that builds towards a frantic final 5 minutes, starting out with subtle things like a door moving ever so slightly before people are being dragged out of beds and down hallways. The movie does create an atmosphere during the fixed camera moments in the bedroom, and at times it can be really chilling. I've seen sometimes a horror I consider myself near impossible to scare, let alone creep out. But Paranormal Activity has moments that just make the hairs go up on my body. One particular well done scene that I think stands out across the whole franchise sees Katie getting out of bed, seemingly sleepwalking. She stands over the bed looking at Micah as the timer in the corner speeds up, and she stays in the spot for a couple of hours. It is a very simple but incredibly effective scare. Unfortunately, the problems with Paranormal Activity become evident every time one of these scenes end. As I said already, Micah and Katie have little chemistry, and it's just boring a lot of the time. There's nothing character building here, as neither has anything interesting to say. It's normal couple stuff. If it was a real life movie, you'd kind of be like, yeah, this is what people are like. But ultimately, we know it's supposed to be a movie. You've written this dialogue. You can make it somewhat more interesting. Later, things do kind of turn in that direction, a semi-interesting route, as Katie begins to reveal that this stuff had happened to her as a child. But it's just never really built on. It's kind of saved for sequels. A burnt picture in the attic of Katie as a child is dismissed way too easily, and all those details are glossed over. And simply put, it screams, oh yeah, you were prepping for sequels. And I mean, seeing as a standalone film, it's something to complain about. Knowing what we get after and the quality of Paranormal Activity 3, I find it harder to complain now. But it does make this film feel incomplete. And obviously the lackluster sequels really harm some of the originality that's shown here. Still, there are so many positives. It is not a jump scare laden mess, except for the final few minutes. And the ones that do occur in the movie actually have reason and context. The early motivation for capturing everything on film makes sense, and Micah treats it like a new toy, which I really like. I also really like the brooding, rumbling sound that plays as we build towards a ghostly bit of behaviour. It's very, very effective. As found footage movies go, it is not too hard to watch either. Sure, there are plenty of dark, shaky and awful angle moments, but this is far from the worst. I mean, shit, if that isn't a compliment, I don't know what is, considering my disdain for found footage horror in general. Paranormal Activity is not even close to being the worst one out there. That should be quoted on the box art. People love this movie. There's much better quotes, realistically. But also, it should be noted, I don't think it's aged very well. Bear in mind, this is 2007, and as of the time recording, it's 2022. And of course, the subgenre, found footage in general, has been run into the ground. But overall, as I said at the start, Paranormal Activity still have things that are enjoyable. The subtle creep factor and the bigger moments work well, while the oppressive sound effect that builds towards a moment is consistently chilling. Some pretty bad acting, many boring moments, and a lack of a decent resolution, bearing in mind we're seeing this movie as an individual, ensures for me this will not go down in history as a high point of horror. No matter how many times you play night vision clips of screaming audience members and try to tell us that it changed the genre. That's ignoring Blair Witch Project, so no, you don't get that. What it does is it revitalized and certainly sent horror on a path that we're still kind of stuck on to some degree. Not quite as bad as we used to be. Now it's all specifically paranormal movies, not specifically paranormal found footage. But just putting found footage into any search engine, shit, go look at our top 10 and top 10 worst and top 10 best found footage horror movies on the site to get some idea of some of the quality and trash that exists because of movies like Paranormal Activity. For me, it's nowadays a 6 to a 7 out of 10 movie. Probably when it first came out, that had gone as high as 8 or maybe even 9. Such is time, such as the slew of sequels, and such is the innovations and the evolving of the genre in general that kind of makes you look at the movie in a different way. What do you think of the original Paranormal Activity? You know what to do. Drop it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?